kindergarten learning coaches. I wanted to share with you a strategy that I have just learned about at a recent training that I went to that was done by Capit on how to get our students to be a little bit quicker with their letter sound fluency. And we know that that is an area that across our class we really need some extra practice in. After we got back those Ames Web early literacy benchmark scores, it definitely showed that a lot of our kiddos at this point, they know their letter names, they know their letter sounds. They're just not quite quick enough with saying what they are. I think sometimes they need a little bit more processing time. So we're going to try to work on getting that processing time down, which will help them as they are becoming readers. So you are going to use letter cards, and you can use the Capit cards that have the actual picture on them if your student needs them. If your student is past the point of using that mnemonic representation there and knowing like K for karate, if they don't need that anymore, just use plain letter cards. I wouldn't use the picture if they don't need it. If they do, that's fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all 52 letters, uppercase and lowercase, and you're just going to show your student the card. Our goal is for them to say the letter sound in 1 to 2 seconds. That seems pretty quick. We need them to be able to do that in order to be able to decode words as they are reading. Now, a lot of our students right now are more at a 4 to 5 second response rate. Might not seem like that's a big difference, but when it comes to actually being able to read words, that makes a huge difference. And that is why Ames Web focuses on the timed aspect of letter sounds. So you can do this with letter names as something extra to do to make sure that you have an idea of which letter names they're really quick with. I'm going to show you letter sounds because that's what we use to read. So what you need is, like I said, 52 letter cards and some form of like green, yellow, red so that you can sort them. So as you show them the letter card, like I said, you want them to be able to respond in 1 to 2 seconds. If they do that, so let's say you show them the letter T, they say T, nice and quick, you put it in the green. Great. If you show them a letter and they need a little bit longer to respond, so you show them the K and they look at it for a second and it might not even be very long, maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then they say K. Great, you did a pretty good job with that, but I think we can get a little bit quicker with that, and it goes in the yellow. Or the other way that a letter can end up in yellow is if they're adding an extra sound to it. And that's actually really common at this age, and especially being that we are in a cyber environment where it can be a little bit harder to hear each other. Sometimes we add that little bit of an extra sound where it's not needed. B is a really common letter for this. So if you ask them what B says and they say ba, they've added an extra vowel sound. Is not part of the sound that B makes. B just makes B. So if they're doing that, we want to try to cut down on that because that's going to help them be able to decode a little bit better if they're just saying the letter sound and not adding that extra vowel sound at the end. Think about if they're trying to sound out the word bed and they say ba, e, da. When they try to put ba, e, da together, doesn't make bed. But if they're just saying the sounds b, e, d, that will blend it together, say bed. So that's why we want to cut down on that. Any of those letters where they're adding that little bit of an extra sound, put those in the yellow as well. And then if there is a sound that they either say, I don't know, or they tell you the wrong sound, so that you show them an R and they say, all right, red, we got to work on that one. You're going to go through the cards and do that with all of them. Once you get to, the point where everything is sorted, all of the cards that are in green are those cards that they were really quick with, that they know really well. What you're going to do with those cards is start building words with those cards. So let's pretend that you sort and you have M, A, and T that ended up in green. You can start using those letters to build words. And this is really important for students that don't have a lot of confidence in sounding out words or don't feel like they are readers yet. If you use those letters that they are really quick with and they know really well, they're going to be able to put those sounds together and blend them together to make words. So it doesn't have to be real words. Depending on the letters that you have, it might not be. It might be some nonsense words. It might even only be 2-letter words, and that's fine. As long as you have a vowel and a consonant, you can start getting them to blend the sounds that they do know very well together and read words. The sounds that are in the yellow, you're gonna really work on getting those ones to the green. So these ones are ones that, remember, they kind of knew, but they weren't 1 to 2 seconds with, or that they were adding that extra sound to. So really work on those. It shouldn't take a lot of work to get those moved into the green category. Then you can start building words with those letters and help having them read words that have those sounds. And then those red letters are gonna be the ones that you know they need a little bit more time with, that they either didn't know at all or they were mixing up with another letter. And then what you can do is, I would put these in like separate baggies and label them so that you know, and you don't have to keep doing this, starting the sorting activity each time that you sit down. These can be flexible, so maybe, one day they did do a letter really, really quick and you thought it was a green letter, and then you try to decode with that letter and they don't have it anymore, they're mixing it all up. Throw it into the yellow or the red, not a big deal. I do think it's important while you're doing this to kind of let the students take some ownership for it, discuss why you're putting cards where you're putting them, really celebrate any of those letters that you are able to put into green, and say like, wow, because you are so great with these letter sounds, now you can read words with those letters. Make it a big deal. I think that this strategy, using this to really figure out what letters they need what with, it would be really helpful for you to do with your student. They all are at different places, so it's hard for me to do this in the classroom because they all have their own set of green letters or yellow letters or red letters. But taking a little bit of time to do this as the learning coach with your student at home, for any of our struggling students who are not as quick as they need to be yet with their letter sounds, or not as confident as they need to be yet to start decoding, this is an activity that will really help that. So I hope that some of you are able to use this at home to help grow those fluency skills when it comes to our letter sounds, and really start building these kindergarten students up as readers, because they have the capability. We just have to push them a little bit.